Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. I know it's been a little while since we last spoke. I know there's been a little while since I've posted any episodes or any redstone videos. There's been a couple factors involved in why that's probably been the case, and for any of you that do care, essentially all that's really been going on is that I've been consumed mostly by some larger projects which have been needing to be kind of pre-planned and thought out, and they've kind of taken up a lot of time. And with certain things and changes of life at the moment, I've kind of just been kicking back, enjoying, the IRL things of life right now. So I just decided it was good to take a little break and ease up on certain things. But again, I've still been playing. I've still been working towards some redstone things. So you should hopefully be seeing some more videos coming soon from redstone, from AmbitionCraft, which FYI, which is where we are right now. And you'll also be seeing some from my single player series, which is also I'm going to be filming at some point in the next couple of weeks. So look up for those. But again, we are starting things today here in AmbitionCraft, and we're actually starting things quite far away. So if you have a look on my F3 screen, we're about 22,000 blocks away from storage. So storage is usually somewhere in and around 0, but we're about 20-ish thousand blocks away from storage, or from our main area. And the reason for that is we're actually starting I'm kind of going forward with one of the projects, along with the help with pretty much all of the team, or some of the team, and we're actually making a perimeter out here 22,000 blocks away. Obviously, making a perimeter 22,000 blocks away isn't ideal, mainly because it's 22,000 blocks away. You have to do a lot of traveling. Even using the Nether, it's still about 2,500 blocks that you have to fly around. But we do need this perimeter somewhere around here. And the reason for that is because we are working on, or I've kind of already worked on, a blaze farm, which requires a certain part of the Nether, and that part of the Nether just happens to be this far away in the overworld. Now, the design that we've come up with, which I'll probably show you on the next episode of AmbitionCraft, because it's not really the subject of today's episode, but the design that I've come up with does require quite a lot of pistons to move the blazes around. And for that reason, it's probably best that we have a good amount of lag efficiency. Now, I don't need a gigantic perimeter around here, so just enough just to make sure we have no animals spawning, no mobs spawning, all that kind of stuff. Although mobs in the overworld should be turned off, our mob switch should be on when this is running anyway, so it shouldn't be an issue. But ultimately, we want to make sure there's nothing around that can cause any kind of lag at all. So again, this is the location we'll be perimetering out. You can already see that we've started making some trenches around here. Unfortunately, they took a lot longer to make than we would have hoped, mostly because we were using some jank designs. 50. But yeah, hopefully soon enough we won't have too many issues with this going forward. The trenches are pretty much all done from what I can see. In fact, I do actually believe that on this side, so yes, this perimeter, this one over here isn't done. I think this machine might have stopped somewhere, and there might have been a few issues. Yeah. Oh, more than just a few issues. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Okay, so this is supposed to be a sweeper taking care of the trenches. Again, we are using a jank design, and it seems to have blown itself up. That's not supposed to happen because it's supposed to have an AND gate on there. So it isn't supposed to have the ability to be run over by the TNT machine, but it looks like it has. Okay, well, I'm not going to fix that right now, but ultimately, when you come back over to the next episode, hopefully these trenches will be done and everything should be looking good. There is actually another trench which we've started here. We just had to hand dig this out just because we were kind of looking for a little grindy work, and I think we're all done with the grindy work now, so I'll probably end up bombing the rest of this 3-wide trench out. And yeah, so once this trench is built, we should be good to go, which should mean we can start building the world leader and then start building this perimeter. But unfortunately, the sad fact is with something like this is that this isn't the only perimeter we have to build, because this is a blaze farm, and the blaze farm, unfortunately, or not unfortunately, I guess in some ways unfortunately, does require a second dimension. So we're also going to have to do some nether stuff. Now with the nether, we've got quite a lot more work to do. You see, the nether's going to require, if I just go into free cam mode for a second, the nether's going to require us to bomb out a huge area of this nether. So we're going to have to probably do a tunnel bore at the top of the roof here, then build then build the wall detail from here. I mean, it shouldn't be a massive problem. It should be relatively straightforward, but it's still going to be a lot of work. But realistically speaking, the most work that's going to come out of this is breaking bedrock. So in order for the farm to reach the efficiency that we're looking for, the blaze farm should hopefully reach about 150,000 blaze rods an hour. This is give or take. I'm pretty sure it's actually a little bit more than 150, but we call it 150 for now. That's going to require us to break a fair amount of bedrock, probably the size of about the Nether fortress. So not the entire size. So if I go back into free cam again, you can have a look, and we've got a Nether fortress here that has five crossroads. So we've got a crossroad here, one here, one here, one here, and there's one more right here. So these crossroads are what's going to help us make sure that we are able to get the efficiency that we need, which is why we chose this location so far out. So essentially, that's going to take some work. We're going to have to do some bedrock breaking. But again, we'll get back to that when we do actually take on the project for the blaze farm. But in the meantime, I think what we should be doing is heading over to the storage area again, and we can talk about the project that we're going to look to take on today. So I'm going to go ahead and fly back about 2,500 blocks, and I'll see you in storage. So transition to storage. All right, and here we have arrived in the tree dome. So actually, we're not going to storage. I realized as I mentioned the transition to storage, we don't actually need to be there. We actually are making our way to the tree dome. Now, the tree dome is actually one of my favorite places on the server because, number one, it looks cool, but also it has some of the nicest farms, which is a tree farm, or tree farm, should I say. Tree farms are usually my favorite just because they're so cool and complex. And yeah, so we've actually got a few things that we need to take care of. So if we have a little fly around the tree dome initially, I can show you some of the things that we've got going on here. So we've got a few things. So number one, we've got the leaf farm created by, I think, multiple members. Created probably by Lurton originally, and I think then reconfigured and remade by Sensei and 50. Essentially, this is a leaf farm, really cool leaf farm. We've had a little project going on recently mentioning that we wanted to gather about 5 million or 3 million leaves of each type. And I think at the moment we're looking pretty good for leaves. Yeah, it looks like we've probably got all the leaves that we're ever going to need. One of the ideas of AmbitionCraft is always to have like the builder's choice of materials available at all times. So it looks like we got a good amount of leaves for all the tree types. You obviously get a little bit of wood in kind of like as a result. Not very much though, as you can see, only a few shulker boxes full of wood. But yeah, everything's looking good. So this is the leaf farm that we've got going on over here. And I am out of rockets, it seems. Hold on. Hold on. Sadly, that's like my third death of the server. Or probably a little bit more, actually, having said that. But it's my third official death of the server, I think, so far. So it's getting kind of sad now. All right, so as I was saying before we got rudely interrupted, if we come over here, we also have Duke's spruce tree farm. It's apparently got a lot of fail safes to stop things from breaking, and it's pretty idiot proof as well. So you know, we've used this a little bit, but mostly at the moment we're using Epton's one near the crafting area. So as far as spruce is concerned, I think we're all looking good on that front. Now, the only other problem that we've had at the moment, or not really problem, the only thing that we're kind of lacking is a normal tree farm. So we do have a tree farm over here, which is Epton's one. I think he made this a little while ago. I don't know if this is actually even active anymore. Huh? Okay, it looks like... Well, I was going to show you Epton's farm that wasn't working. It actually had broke. But it looks like someone's torn it down or blown it up, which is kind of sad. But I guess that's good because that was kind of the point of the video, to be fair. It looks like his is broken anyway, so we're going to have to make do with just using our imaginations. So the normal tree farm broke. We now needed something new. So I decided, you know what? I haven't really made a tree farm before. It would be a good challenge to kind of get an idea of how to build one. Try and run through some mechanics and see what we could do. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and head over to creative, and we're going to actually go into the Ambition creative server, and let's have a little look at something I've been working on. So here we are in the AmbitionCraft creative server, and as you can probably already see behind me, we have a few tree farms running and kind of in testing. Now, I do want to show you guys the rates to start off with, just because it would be nice. But I think it's probably best that we have a look at some of the tree farms before we talk about rates or anything like that. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail about how the farm works and all that kind of stuff, because I'll probably do a separate video on this at some point, where I'll release a wild download and whatnot. Some of the ideas that we had in AmbitionCraft was to make all of our own farms as much as we can, whilst obviously still being in reason. Like, I don't want to create a tree farm that's not good at all, but we also wanted to make one that had kind of our own benefits and that we've worked on ourselves. So the current farm that I've chosen is a dustless design. I haven't got even one piece of dust in this anywhere. Unfortunately, after having some memey thoughts, we were going to do a dustless item filter for all the log types, but it turned out to not be very viable, so we're going to ignore that. You can actually do a dustless item filter, but you would need multiple filters. So for like jungle, we found out we'd need 4 filters to make it work, and it's probably not the best thing to do. The idea of this was to be dustless, it was to be relatively compact, and more importantly, it was to be our own design. So you can see here it is pretty small, not very big at all. When you include the blast chamber, it's got a little bit of a footprint, but generally quite small. The other thing that I wanted to do with this was, considering the rates you're going to need, generally for something like this, you would need 2 TNT blast chambers. Instead, I decided that I wanted to challenge myself and put it all into 1 blast chamber and only use 1 TNT duper. This was a lot more work than I had imagined it to be. And the main culprit for why that was not fun and took a long time was acacia. I've dealt with a number of farms before, mushroom farms, all that kind of stuff. Nothing quite infuriates me like acacia. And honestly, it was the bane of my existence for quite a few weeks. So this actual farm design, so like just the tree farm itself, took about 4 days or 4.5 days to do, just to get the timings right, just to get all of the growth stages correct, make sure everything kind of worked how it should do. So it was 3 or 4 days to make the tree farm. To make the blast chamber, well, that took somewhere in and along the lines of about 3 weeks. No, 2 weeks. I'll be fair to myself. It took about 2 weeks of on and off design work and checking and rechecking and altering, and it wasn't fun. Let me just say that. It was not fun at all, but ultimately we got there in the end, and this is the design we went through. I do wish I had kept a few more designs around just to show you the stages that I had to go through in order to get to this point. And again, if I had wanted to put it into 2 separate blast chambers, it would have been a matter of a couple days and we would have been fine. But my stubbornness to try and get everything all put into 1 single blast chamber and only use 1 TNT machine probably was my downfall in all of this. So the tree farm's all up and running. The only thing left for me to do now is to add in the item filters, add in the shulker loaders to make sure we've got all the tree types. I'm actually not going to go ahead and keep any of the saplings as of right now. This can probably change if anybody really wants it to, because ultimately, the only reason we're not keeping saplings at the moment, they're just going to kind of float around as they are here, and they're going to end up despawning. The only reason why we're not doing this is because of jungle. Jungle is quite annoying, where you do get your saplings back that you want, but if, for example, I put a hopper underneath the player and then had the player try and pick up some of the saplings first, you would lose more saplings than you would want to, because technically, you need to have the saplings kind of lying around a little bit. There is a way around this, and I might consider checking it out, and I'll probably do that over the next couple of days whilst I'm trying to finish up the design here. And the idea here is to, when it's in, we might add a separate jungle mode for this, where when it's using jungle, it locks the hopper underneath, so you don't collect jungle saplings, but you collect all the other type of saplings. An option that I'm thinking about, I'm not sure yet. But at the moment, I don't think it really matters. We have the leaf farm, which can also be doubled as a sapling collector, so it's all good. But yep, as everything stands right now, everything seems to be good. Jungle's been running to do a test to make sure we get enough saplings back for about, I think this has been running for about 13 or 14 hours just for that type. But all these tree farms have actually been running for about 3 days now, or 4 days. I wanted to do a real solid test to make sure nothing broke. Because one of the designs I had before I came to this one, I ran for a few hours and it was fine, and then when I tick warped it for multiple, maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, I think it was. I can't remember. It was a long time. At some point it broke. Acacia broke, which is why we've ended up revamping everything. But now if I do a check on counters, so if we do counter and we go to green, we can have a little look at the rates first of all. So we can see jungle logs, we're looking somewhere around 21,000 logs an hour. Spruce is around 17, birch around 15, acacia around 13.1, and oak logs around 11.5 or 11,000-ish. So a decent amount of log collection from here. A pretty good rates in terms of like return rates from this, especially when you consider this is all coming from one TNT blast chamber. So yeah, everything's looking pretty good. And again, these tree farms have been running for 3,814 minutes. In total, that equates to about 63 hours of runtime. And for me, that's pretty much good enough to say that I'm happy with this to go. And with that, I can actually go ahead and turn this off now, because I've been running 5 tree farms on our creative test world, and it's probably not the best for the server lag. It's actually not been doing too bad. So I've been waiting to record this video so I can actually finally turn this off. So again, only thing left for me to do now is to add in the collection system, compact things as much as I can, add in like the final like quality of life features here and there as well. Everything else should be good. Again, I will be releasing a separate video on this once I've finalized the design and I've got everything completely done. But in the meantime, I'm going to consider this project as good to go. And I think it's probably time that we build this. Now, I'm saying probably time we build this, keeping in mind I haven't actually haven't put any work into releasing it at the moment. I still need to actually finish off the design. So by the time we get to the next shot, I should have hopefully finished everything and we'll get to the build. Let's do a quick transition, and in fact let's get into a time lapse that I haven't built yet because I haven't even finished the farm. So we'll go for one of the old Look at it, all small and tiny and being dwarfed by this absolutely massive dome that it sits inside of, and also these other farms, which is kind of weird, right? When you think about it, like you have the leaf farm, which is supposed to be really small, and the spruce farm is supposed to be really big, but like, you know, comparably, the leaf farm is quite, you know, sizable, although the difference is obviously this does have some storage attached to it, so probably makes up for like at least 50% of its size. Also, the portals don't really help, but you can see here, in kind of nicely tucked away in the corner here, we have the tree farm all up and running, and it's all nicely tucked away in this corner, and it's looking good. And it's all fancy. Now it is all ready to go and kind of ready to use. It's not 100% because it still requires bone meal, which I filled a little bit up of just to kind of get us going, make sure the tests kind of ran well. As long as you get a couple of trees working, then you know that things are looking good. Where's my saplings? There you go. So yeah, everything seems to be running just fine. So everything looks good and it can be ready to use. Unfortunately, it isn't ready to use just yet for a specific reason, which I'll get to in a minute. But let's go ahead and turn this back off again. So yeah, everything seems to be working fine. All the switches work good. We ran a little bit of a test on it yesterday just to make sure the acacia works and the oak mode works right. Everything seems to be fine. All the little triggers seem to be in the right places. So actually, I'm quite happy with that. The TNT blast chamber is looking good. And other than that, things are pretty much fine. Now, there is a small problem with the tree farm at the moment, which is that technically it isn't really ready to use. The problem here at the moment is obviously the fact that we don't really have any storage, as you can visibly see from well, the lack of storage here. Underneath, we've got the a couple small additions which we added. So actually, before we get into storage situation, let's have a little look down here. So I had a little bit of a situation. So currently, this is all the location. This is kind of the stock for all the bone meal. So all the bone meal boxes will go into this this chest pile here. And obviously, once they're depleted, you'll have a bunch of shulker boxes. And because we already had one chest pile in the corner, I didn't want to put another chest pile for all of these shulker boxes. And obviously, playing on a tech server, we currently have a carpet rule enabled, which is stackable shulker boxes. So I decided that instead of adding a bunch of, a bunch of extra storage on the side for the shulker boxes, I'd be best that I probably just design myself a nice little shulker box stacker. So I came up with this little design here, and so far it seems to all be running really well. It's kind of relatively small as well. It does have the storage included. Actually, having said that, now there is a key component, which is a hopper that's supposed to be there missing, which if you give me a sec, I will add. So yeah, this hopper should provide about 5 double chests worth of shulker box storage, stacked empty shulker box storage, should I say. Just for now, it just means we'll have enough backup, so if I'm running the tree farm and I forget, at least we get the shulker boxes back in some form stacked up in here. Now, there is a little bit of a weird situation with this stacker in that it does run really well. However, the issue is that every now and then it tends to fail by adding one extra box to the system. I think I already know what the reason for that is. The problem was I didn't really have time to fix it, and it actually didn't happen often enough that I should care. I can still stack, I think, 3 stacks of shulker boxes in the hopper as it is right now. It didn't seem like too much of a problem for me, so it's going to cover the bases that I need for this tree farm at least. And like I said, in my single player one, it didn't seem to happen, so maybe there's something server side doesn't totally make sense, and I don't think that would or should be the case. So maybe it was just, you know, luck in single player testing that kind of worked out and didn't work out so much for myself in this version. But either way, it works pretty much all of the time, and it works pretty much for what I need it for. I might release a video or add this into my well download section in my Discord, so maybe I'll leave this just the shulker box stacker. I might leave in the Discord, but you can have a play with it, see if you can fix it or change anything. But I think at the moment it works for what I want it to do, so that's good. But as I was mentioning beforehand, there's a couple caveats to why this tree farm can't really be used yet, and none of those include the fact that it doesn't have enough bone meal or almost any bone meal left in the system. And the reason for that is storage. Now, what we were supposed to originally do was originally add like a whole bunch of storage just on the side here or maybe on the bottom, and that would have sufficed. However, we were thinking about it, me and 50 had a little conversation, and even though the storage down here would have been cool, there was just so much extra bulk added to the tree farm, which I didn't really like, and I didn't totally want to add that to the tree farm itself, so I decided against it. We then took a look around the current tree dome that we have here with the leaf farm on the right over my right shoulder. We've got the spruce farm behind me, and we've obviously now got the UTF right here as well. But right over there's an empty space that's probably going to have a dark oak tree farm, so we can have all of our lovely trees farmable in one location. And we decided that storage individually doesn't really work out with our future plans of the server. So a part of our future plans for the server, we kind of want to have a system that works in the same way, like a mass. It's kind of hard for me to explain, and probably for me to explain, probably for 50 to kind of give an idea of. But ultimately, we want to have a system where we can collectively call items from pretty much any of the farms that we want and mass transport any of the farmable items that we want to locations a little bit easier. So we want to centralize all of the farms. So all of the different types of logs we get from this farm, all of the spruce logs, all of the different type of leaves, saplings that we get from the other farms. We want to centralize them in a storage somewhere in the center. Funnily enough, 50 happens to be working on a gigantic tree that's a part of the build here that's going to be sitting right in the middle. So we decided, hey, why don't we utilize the tree for something other than decoration, which is kind of the objective or kind of the theme of the server, should I say, which is to use builds and to use redstone and kind of bring them simultaneously together. So 50 is building a pretty cool and gigantic tree that's going to go in the middle here. So we decided we'd wait for that and actually centralize all of the storage from all of the farms into the one central location. That way in the future, when we do finally decide to go for the storage stuff in the for the call-in system for the storage, it will be pretty much ready and kind of in one central location. Also, it would make for a really cool kind of hidden storage in the tree, which is just going to be kind of fun and nice to have in the first place. So in the meantime, even though the tree farm is built, it has no home to send all the items to. But actually, I think I have some cool ideas for the future for all of the items, including how we're going to get them discreetly into the middle of the tree without having massive pipes and everything in there. It's going to be cool, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play with. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode there because I have run out of stuff. I haven't really run out of stuff. I've actually got a lot more stuff that we've done since the end of this episode, but we're going to save that for another episode for now. So thank you very much for watching. If you'd enjoyed, obviously do the like, the subscribe, comment down below, all that stuff. And I'll see you in the next one, which, spoiler alert, is going to include a Nether world eater probably, and some cool footage of the Nether being eaten, and probably some other things too. So feel free to join, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.